All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Chronicles of a Virgo Podcast. And as usual, I'm your favorite Virgo host. And today is a very special episode. Not only is it the first episode of April, but April is also Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And if you have been following me in my journey for this last year, you guys know that I have been very open about my own experience with my sexual assault. So last year, I actually told my story for the first time. I'll put that link below in the description. So if you haven't listened to it, please go check it out. But I wanted to do something a little different this year since I've always talked about being in therapy and all of that fun stuff. So I brought some lovely people with me today, and they are no guests to the Chronicles of a Virgo podcast. They are no guests at all, and they are no guests to me. They are actually two of my lovely best friends. One who you guys know and very, very fond of. Well, actually, both of them. One just hasn't been on this season yet, but here she comes. So you guys know the lovely Virgo best friend, Miss Jessica. What is up, girl?
Hey y'all, happy to be back. So be ready.
Hey, and then we have the lovely Miss Cultural Bees, aka Miss Jeanelle Tyson. What's up, sis?
Blessings, everyone. So happy to be back. It's been so long, but sis, we made it in 2023.
Yes, we made it. We made it. We made it. So thank you, ladies, for joining me for another episode. And it's both of y'all first episode of 2023. So shout out to y'all for that. So like I said, let me just give a disclaimer, a trigger warning before we proceed with this episode. So if anybody is sensitive to the topic of sexual assault, you may not want to proceed after listening to this, but I hope you do stick around, just to gain some type of awareness or just to know more about me if you have not heard some of my story or all of my story. So before we begin the episode, as usual, I want to do our lovely mental health check. So Jeanelle, how would you rate your mental health on a scale of 1 to 5? 5 being that you're feeling good, and 1 being you're not feeling the best, room for some porn, but you're feeling okay.
How would you saying my name like that?
College days.
Took me back to the college days, okay? But I just got back from the gym, and I've been juicing, okay? I would say a 5. Actually, I'm feeling really good, really energetic. I just feel like I could be up all night. I need to clean this office. So my mental health for me will have to be a 5. So,
okay. Yeah. I ain't go to the gym today, but I sure feel like I did.
I was in the gym, taking my Zumba, getting a little bit of movement. So I've been finally taking time for myself and going back to the gym and doing little things here and there. So yeah.
Yes, that's important. So shout out to you for that. And Jessica, what is your mental health today on a scale of 1 to 5, sis?
I will also say a 5. It's been a busy couple weeks, but at the same time, I feel like I'm getting stuff done. I just started working out again yesterday, so hopefully I can stay motivated. I'm excited about this springtime, this warm weather that is come. So I'm just optimistic.
Yes. And since we're on a working out tip, I don't know, my face looks super flushed today. Maybe it's just because I got these lights shining on me. I don't know. But Sunday, I think it was Sunday, I started back running. Like the weather is breaking, like Jess said. So like Sunday, it was windy. And I swear the wind was throwing me around. But I was out there. And if if you've been following me since last year, like I ran in like 100-degree weather
every day.
Yes, last summer. So I wanted to start it back up because I was making excuses for why. I ain't gonna lie, I feel like I have picked up a few pounds just within the last couple of weeks. And I was like, you know what? I need to stop making excuses for myself and stop feeling bad for myself. So I actually been out there running and then coming back home doing some, light workouts and different things like that and getting into some more stretching because stretching is very important. Mm-hmm. So shout out to y'all for y'all mental health ratings, and my mental health today on a scale of 1 to 5. I want to give it a 5. I am feeling really, really good. I had therapy yesterday, and she, for not for the first time, but for the first time, the most serious moment, gave me some homework. So wait, what's today? No, I didn't have therapy yesterday. No, I had therapy 2 days ago. So I've been implementing something more with my meditation, and I feel like it's really, really, really working. So I don't want to speak about it yet. We're going to see how it's going to go. So I have to do it consistently for 2 weeks, but I think I want to continue it after the fact. But if you want to know, maybe if you DM me, I'll let you know what it is. But yes, my mental health is definitely a 5 today. So
angel numbers 555.
here she go. Here she go. But no, you're right. You're right. So yes, I do these mental health checks as a way to encourage not only myself, my guests and listeners to also take the time out of your day, whether it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10, 15, to just check in with yourself, have that internal dialogue, see how you're feeling, and yeah, and try to address any discomfort you may have in your body, your mind. Seek some assistance if needed. So yeah, and so far it's been working. And shout out to everyone that's been texting me, asking me, what's your mental health? What's your mental health? Like, I appreciate that, because that means I'm doing something right. So all I want to do is, spread some positivity and promote people to just be better and not ignore certain signs. So shout out to y'all for that. And now I'm about to get into some things. So as I said, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And because my platform is not based on it, but I am a sexual assault survivor. Last year when I started my platform, I told my story open for the first time on my platform. And since then, I've had quite a few interviews on other podcasts where have told my story. I've been asked so many different questions. I've been DM'd and emailed so many different questions. So I felt like, with it being the beginning of the month, I'm in a much better space than I was last year. I wanted to come do like a Q&A. So if you have asked me questions, emailed them, DM, we got these questions. They're going to be answered. Okay. And then I even have some questions for my friends, because not to take away from or discredit any of my support, whether it's my friends or family, everyone has been tremendous with helping me get through my trauma healing and just healing in general. But these two right here, have really been there through thick and thin. If you guys listened last year, or if you haven't, Jeanelle actually was my freshman year of college roommate. So when I was going through a lot of the stages of my trauma, she was there. And she didn't initially know, but I'll get into that. And then Jess was not with me in college, but Jess has been with me for literally almost 10 years now. So even with that, we have only spoke briefly about it. But since I've been in therapy and really addressing it, she's more so like always the first person I call. So they have a little bit more insight on my healing process. And them as friends, they have some stuff to say too on like how I or my situation has affected them, or just how they're able to just cope. So we're gonna get into it. Okay. I'm not going to retell my whole entire story. Like I said, it's in the archives. If you want to go listen, I'll put it the link of it in the description. But I was sexually abused from grade school up until 7th, 8th grade-ish. It officially came out in the 8th grade. It was by, at the time, a relative that lived with me in my house. And it happened for years. And there was a lot of grooming, a lot of threats being made. It was just a lot. And one thing that I always, like, one of the first things people always ask me is, why didn't you tell anybody? I feel like that's so insensitive to ask a sexual assault victim, survivor, whatever. It's, why didn't you ask anybody? Why wasn't it a police report? Like, you hear those things or you see them online so much, and you never know like the emphasis that something has had on a person. And for me, I did tell somebody. I told the parents in my house, and it was just kind of like brushed over because they asked him. He said, no, I didn't do X, Y, and Z. and we just kind of went back to like our regular routine as a family. But the abuse continued for years after that, you know. And how my situation initially came out, I was in, yes, this was in 8th grade. I was in 8th grade, and at the time I went to private schools, Catholic schools, and there was a lot of priests like in the news with sexually assaulting kids. And the school wanted to raise more awareness about the situation, just in case someone, you know, in a class or whatever had been abused. And at this time, no one knew. And I don't remember what the writing assignment was, but I had wrote something, and my teacher at the time, and I promise you, because I get access to, I have not found this lady on social media. I have searched high and low. I wish I could really find her, because if it wasn't for her, like my situation would have probably never got out. And whatever I wrote in the assignment, she just felt it and she ran to the office. She didn't even come to me first. She ran to the office. And when she came back and pulled me out the class, I thought I was in trouble, because that was the time that I was a little, you know, non-compliant, always doing stuff. But behold, like she knew. And I tried to lie, of course, and say, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. But then she was just like, if someone is harming you, or if you ever want to talk about anything, just let me know, I'm always here. And I just like bust out crying. And from that point, you know, my situation just proceeded and things like that. And it did go to the courts. And as we know, our system is broken. And my person is just a registered sex offender on tier 3. He did about 6 months and got out. So there was no real jail time. I know if people have heard me say, oh, he is in Hollywood. He is. He's on some of y'all favorite TV shows, you know. And he lives in the same city as me, like very close, you know. So for a long time, I knew where he was, because if you've ever been a sexual assault victim, you know that if your things go through the court, you get emails, you get phone calls every time the person information is updated. So like I kind of always knew. Initially, it always went to my mom, but when I got older, I think when I hit 18 or something, things start coming to me. So I knew where he was. I knew where he was working, like all these times, if the information was accurate. And then I think it was like, was it beginning of COVID, y'all, when I got that email that said they couldn't find him? Yeah, I think it was the beginning, and that like, I like lost my mind. Like I was like, what y'all mean y'all can't find him? Like like I remember that day trying to work from home and looking at the computer like, yo, they said he ain't checked in and he ain't did this. And I was looking, and I went on a freaking like down the rabbit hole of information trying to find stuff. And the situation is a little complicated because like I said, he was a relative, a very close relative, and he has relation to my sister. So I still try to respect boundaries with having conversations and asking questions and different things. But we found his ass. We found that ass. And yeah, so, but yeah, that just like really sent me down the rabbit hole and just brought up a lot of stuff. Hence why I got really invested more with my therapy that I'm in now. So yeah, I know that story probably was like all over the place. Sorry. But I think I covered the brim part of what brings us to the discussion today. Like I said, Jeanelle, out of all my friends, Jeanelle was one of the first people, because when my case went to court and, you know, charges filed and all that stuff, I still had to be a child. I was still going to school, playing basketball, went to college, you know, not knowing that I was a victim, because I didn't, you know, like I hadn't did therapy, didn't know what all this stuff was. And I will never forget this day. I think I went to bed, and I think Janelle went to sleep too. And all I remember is her shaking me awake. And when I woke up, I just like dashed out the room to the shower. Correct, Janelle?
Yeah. You did. I was so confused. I did not know what was going on, what to do. You was screaming. I thought she was about to swing at me. It was just, I was honestly scared, honestly, because I had no idea what was happening. And then you just took off, and I'm like, I'm about to call your mom because I just don't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So what had happened was at the time I started having like these really bad nightmares. I remember vaguely that they mentioned like certain side effects. Like, I can't believe there's even side effects of sexual abuse, right? But there are, like, there are. And one of the things were like, they would always ask if I was having like nightmares. And I'm like, no, sometimes I have like really bad insomnia. And that was me afraid to go to sleep because I was abused in my sleep or at night, just different. I was always waking up out of something. So when that situation happened, when we were in school, I remember coming back in the room acting like nothing happened. And Jeanelle was looking like, bitch, what the fuck?
Almost just took me out.
Yes. And we did get my mother on the phone. And at that point, Jeanelle was actually the first person in college that I told what happened.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of like, just let things flow. The nightmares definitely did continue, but I don't think they was as severe as that. But like, rule number one, if you know anybody that is a trauma victim, never shake them in their sleep. Like, Janelle, of course, did not know. And some people don't know what to do seeing someone respond that way, but never abruptly, do something like that. Because that all that does is like, not re-triggers a person, but it emphasizes more on whatever is already going through their body and their mind. Even if they're not awake, it just makes things worse. So yeah, that's how Jeanelle got tied into like all of my healing and things. And I was like, oh God, this girl gonna think I'm crazy. But here it is all these years later, and we still rocking, and I'm still on a journey, and she's on her journey, and we just been sticking it out or whatever. And then as I always talk about, like, me being in therapy now has been the most consistent and just effective therapy. And when I started with this therapist back in 2021, I wasn't going to therapy to really focus on my sexual assault. I just like, I'm super depressed. Like, I need something more. And like, she just was able to ask me questions and get information out of me for me to talk. And me not realizing, because I'm a talker, just talking, I'm like, oh shit, like this woman is really getting me to open up. And I would always call Jess and be like, yo, I'm a fucked up person. Like, this shit was my fault. Like, I could have prevented this. Like, this is why I'm like this. And Jess would just always be that reassuring voice that like, no, this is not your fault. You didn't know, and that's how Jess got locked in more with helping me get over or get through these moments, because they really do come in waves. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really do. And I feel like the more I talk about it, I feel like now I understand what they say. Like, talking about it does help. It really does. But talking about it does make feelings and stuff surface. But I'm more equipped now to like handle those feelings and all those thoughts when they do come up, So because like I said, because I've spoken on this here and there, I been getting a lot of questions. Some of the questions I personally cannot answer, but the people or person that can answer will be answering. So stick around for that. Not today, but in the future, maybe in a couple of weeks, stick around for that. So we're going to get into it. So how I'm doing this is they have the questions. Jeanelle and Jessica have the questions, and they are going to go question per question, and I'm going to answer some of these questions. And don't be alarmed. I don't have anyone's names, emails, or anything attached to them. I'm just answering the questions that I've been asked, because clearly there are other people out here that have endured some type of sexual violation and they need some advice. So let's do it. So which one of you lovely ladies want to go first?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Question.
Wait, before you know what? Not even they may do that. But before we get into the questions, do either one of y'all have anything to say?
No, not at the moment because I know it was a lot. So I guess we could elaborate towards closing.
Okay, Jess.
I'm good. I'm good as well.
All right, let's go, Jeanelle.
All right. So from anonymous person, the first question is, did your abuse interfere with your friendship or relationships?
Did my abuse interfere with my friendships or relationships?
Yeah.
So friendships, I don't think so. And I say that because I'm open with my friends, and I like to think of it like this. Like, I know a lot of people, but I only have a selective group of friends. All of my close friends, no, so am I open with more certain people about certain things? Yes. That's not me keeping information from others. It's just certain people know how they understand things on a certain level. Some people have never experienced things and they don't know how to handle different experiences. So I don't think that I've, messed up any friendships because of things. If anything, because I'm in the space that I'm in now and I have the knowledge and wisdom that I do, I have apologized to my friends for my actions. And I have two of them on here today, and they can tell you, like, yes, she still probably continues to do so, because when you realize certain parts of you were that way because of a trauma response, or just whatever old pre-programming, it's kind of ugly to look at yourself and be like, damn, I really was acting like this. So yeah, I think my friends, I think we still tight, we still locked in. As far as relationships, I believe that in any of like my serious relationships I've been in, I have been upfront about that, but I didn't realize. I think I was using it in a such as a clutch because I was afraid to take things to a certain level with certain people. So I always made sure like that was something that people knew, because again, I do have triggers and boundaries, different things that I felt like people should be aware about. I don't think it messed up any of my relationships. I believe in honesty, but also in therapy, one thing that me and my therapist talked about was, keeping some parts of you like private until you get to certain levels with people. So like, no, I wasn't coming out saying, hey, I was sexually abused the first time we talked or whatever, but just like really working your way up to really get to that level with people and not feeling like you have to come out. It's like building up that trust with them. So now that I know that, moving forward, that's, what I have been doing. So yeah.
That is really good, Shakita. This question is not on there. Do you mind if I add a little twist to this question? I know it mentioned about friendship and relationships. What about your peers, like school, the person who realized what was going on, your mom, your sister? Can you elaborate about how that kind of affected your close family members, if that's okay with you?
You mean now or back then?
I would say, I guess back then, or I guess maybe now, because you want to fast forward. So let's say now.
So now, one thing that I will say, even though my abuser is in relation to my sister, me and my sister, we still have a very tight knit relationship, right? Like she knows everything, and she don't never like treat me any type of way or disregard any of my feelings, anything like that. So I feel like I could talk to her about a lot, and I still do talk to her about everything. And I'm just very limited because I never want my sister to feel like I'm bashing her family in a sense. And and that's my biological sister. Now she has a sister that I have been in this little girl life since she was born. So she also is aware of things as well. So I'm just like very limited to what I do discuss, even though I never bashed the person at all. And like y'all know that as far as family goes, I always felt like my grandmother and my aunt, one of my aunts, was the most supportive because I, would talk about it. But there was a lot of, and there still is a lot of guilt, and I believe on my mom's behalf as well. So as I said before, like, we don't talk about it. If I have questions, my questions have never gotten answered, and I don't have questions or think things to bash anybody, but I just feel like I just want to know certain things, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it would make me be in a different space or heal better. I do honestly feel like, and I do know that they listen to my podcast, I do feel like because I have been in the space of talking about things this last year, that it is bothersome to some people. I do feel like that. And y'all know, like I've even said, like maybe I should stop talking about certain stuff, but I'm not, because they have spoke for me all my life. And I finally got the courage to actually stand up and tell my story and just speak about my experience in different things, in no shape or form bashing anyone, but I don't feel, and not really have really felt, never really have felt that much support, and I understand, like, people may feel like guilty on their behalf because they didn't act fast enough or they didn't do anything the first time something was said. But at the same time, that people have to realize how that made me feel and how I was the one that was affected by it. I feel like everyone put their feelings in the forefront and said, okay, we don't really know what's going on with her, even though she is the ultimate victim. They just move how they move. And that's how I've always looked at it. So my comfort is talking about it, of course, in therapy. My comfort is talking about it with my friends, because, like, y'all listen, and not listening to, like, be like, well, you need to do this, but like, y'all listen, y'all get it. So at least I have that support there.
That's really, really good. How you answered it. I love it. All right. So let's move on to question number 2. Can you really heal from sexual trauma?
Yeah, I believe that you can heal from anything, as long as, if you have the belief that you can heal from something, you can. Now, disclaimer, I'm not no no doctor, no nurse, no none of that. I'm not a therapist, none of that. But I feel like I have enough certifications and degrees under my belt to say that, like, I do believe you can heal from something if it is addressed properly. And being a person that's been violated, sexually violated, I would encourage someone to seek help, but I wouldn't rush a person to seek help, because it's not something that you just jump right into talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, you and then if you are a person that's open with talking about it, you don't never know how your response is going to be. You don't never know how questions are going to make you feel. You know what I'm saying? Even though you may get to a point in your healing where you feel like you have healed from it or you're over it, it is unfortunately always going to be something that's a part of you, but it doesn't have to make or break you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was watching something the other day, and this lady, I forgot who it was or what station I was listening to, but they were talking about people keep saying like they're healed versus they're healing. So I was like, that is very, very key. I never really thought about that, because we're constantly healing ourselves from whatever we went through. That was a good response. Let's see. Question number 3. Let's see where to go. Were you ever angry with yourself or family? Feel like you were left hanging? Is the question. So let me read that again. It's 2 parts to it. Were you ever angry with yourself or your family? Feel like you were left hanging? Or maybe they meant to say felt. Did you feel like you were left hanging?
All right, so I'll start with the first one, because I think I kind of talked about this with my last response. But as far as being angry with myself, because it wasn't a lot of context to that question, I don't know if the person meant back then are like now. So back then, I'll just speak from both standpoints. Back then, like there wasn't no anger. It was a lot of like confusion, right? Because if you're a parent, you know, one of the things you teach your kids, like no one's supposed to do X, Y, and Z to you. If someone ever does this, then let us know. And then the adults or the older individuals are the ones supposed to be the protectors that's looking after you, not people that's supposed to actually harm you. So because someone that I looked up to as a brother, in a sense, that was looked at as a protector, someone older was doing all of those things, it was like, okay, like in my mind, I don't really know if I process it as being wrong. You know what I'm saying? And for that, I do fault myself sometimes. Like, why did I allow this to continue happening? Like, why didn't I fight? Or like, why didn't I say something, speak up more than like the one time, you know? So that can build up anger sometimes, but like I know that it's still not my fault, and it doesn't give any justification for what someone did to me, you know, because I was a kid.
Right.
I was a kid, you know. So no anger back then, just more confusion, maybe a lot of sadness. Like I've said before, like, you know, my childhood wasn't bad. Besides that, I was always happy. But then those moments, certain as time went on and I got older, you know, I remember times just going in the bathroom, like crying because of what was being done, you know. And then like once my mom had my sister, oh, I became her protector, like because I didn't want nothing to happen to her, you know, like wherever I went, she was on my hip. Like if I was going outside, if I was going outside to play with my friends, I was taking her with me, like some shape or form. Like I couldn't phantom that. And at that point, like I didn't really put two and two together. Like I was doing all this because of that, but I was doing all that because of that, you know? So as I got older, like I said, it's anger sometimes because I'm like, damn, why do I still feel like this or think this way? Like I know that it wasn't my fault, but like, could I have done something more? What more could a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, year old have really done? I don't know. But the mind only wanders. So those type of things, when they do come up, I do feel like, damn, like I do get a little sad. Yeah. What was the second part?
Well, the second part, it says, feel like you were left hanging. Did you feel like you were left hanging?
Yeah, like I said, I do. Like, and I think this is the first time I've ever been even thought about that, but like even just hearing myself say it, like I do. And again, it's no disrespect to anyone, but I do, you know. I don't know what more else to say after
I
that.
think you answered that very well. Yeah, and I love how you were, you know, very protective over your little sister. I really love hearing that.
I
That was
still am today, y'all know
yeah.
that.
Like that's your baby. All
All right,
right.
Jeanelle, you know what? Let me give you a break. So remember where you are. So let's let Jessica start. And then
All
like
right.
she do 3, I think it's 3 or whatever, and then like we flop.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, let's do this. So what made you finally speak up openly about your situation? Because I know, I mean, obviously I know, you know, we've talked about these things, and I know you were resistant, and understandably so, but what made you finally want to open up about it?
Honestly, like when I started my podcast last year, I don't even think that was actually something I even planned on talking about. Right? Like I would talk to y'all about like different topics and doing all this different stuff, but this was never anything that I felt the need to ever address.
Mhm.
Whatever. Have I been in other spaces talking about sexual assault awareness and different things? Absolutely. Have I been a part of other organizations? Yes, I advocate for it here. But me telling my own story open, I've never, right? So I feel like at that moment, last year, when I sat down to record, what I was thinking going into it was I had already did a few episodes, like kind of exposing myself a little bit. But also I'm like, I done created a platform, a space to help people heal and grow from experiences. Not only that, just help people just speak out. And I felt like the more I didn't say something, the more I was continuing to give this person power over my voice. And I was continuing to live in this person's shadow. And for some reason, like y'all know how energy is. Like when you're searching things or thinking about things, it just start popping up on social media. And I start seeing like all these posts on TikTok and different things. And I'm like, God, is this like you trying to tell me something? And I feel like I've always wanted to say something, but I never knew like the right space or time to do it or where. And I just did it. And then from that, I was like, I hope that me speaking up helps other people speak up, you know, or helps other people even acknowledge. That's big too, acknowledging that something happened, you know, because I've met people through my journey that have not experienced child sexual trauma, but have experienced it in their adult age. And they feel like because they're the age that they are, no one is going to listen, you know? And I feel like, you know, social media gives bad presentation of that a lot of times because you see people that are adults that come forward about their story and people are like, well, you too old, you knew what you, like, no, you can't say that. You can't fault the victim for somebody else's stupidity or just incompetence of what they did to a person, you know? So I knew I was risking it all in a sense, you know, because, and I remember when I did that, when I start talking about it, I said some of the things that I was disclosing that some people didn't know. There are still parts of my story that people don't know, you know. I'll write a book. So yeah, that is what made me speak up, to kind of help give a voice to the voiceless, like not me telling their story, but to encourage other people to be resilient. And it didn't even matter if you were healed from it, but just to stand in your truth.
No, definitely. Like I said, me and Jeanelle have both been here for this journey. So we've seen the growth, we've seen the changes, we've seen the evolution. And it doesn't mean just because it's like, oh, I finally talked about it, things are easy now, which I'm pretty sure you can attest to. But to see you go through the process and just where you are now versus where you may have been a couple years ago, I'm just very proud of you. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate that. I appreciate both of y'all.
You're welcome. All right, let's get into this next question. So, how did it feel to relive the moments when you first decided to speak about it versus how you may feel now that it's been some time since you've been more open about it?
I remember like after I put that episode out last year, one of my friends called me and was like, yo, did you just do that? And I was like, I think so. And she's like, I could hear like your voice trembling. I can tell you were crying. Like, and I was like, yes, all of the above. And she was like, why? And I said, because I was nervous to tell my business a little bit, you know, not in the sense of like, oh, those things need to be like private. That was the problem, right? What happens in this house stays in this house, and that whole stigma of that. And I'm like, we need to break that stigma. I said, the emotion comes from just gaining the strength and courage to speak. Y'all don't understand how it has felt, or the effect of me not ever saying anything all this time has felt. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like my knees was buckling. I probably was sweating talking about it, you know? And then I'm not gonna lie, a lot of times, even now with talking about it, there are memories, right? There are flashbacks and things that happen. Like I'm replaying the abuse in my mind. Back then, it did affect me, you know, even after I talked about it on my show and maybe like the next couple shows I did and talked about it, it did affect me. And I think, Jess, I called you after one. I'm like, man, my body's tense. I remember just crying, like, not because I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, why is this happening? You know, and I realized, well, how I process it now is my body is just like releasing all this stored up trauma, all this stored up energy, stuff that has just been kicked way below the waist is finally now coming out, and like we unfortunately cannot control when trauma happens to us, but we can control our healing. And I knew from it, I just wanted to heal, right? Not to say I'm going to be 100% healed from it, because like I always say, we're always healing. We always have something to heal from. But you just never know how this shit can pop back up and present itself in your life, I remember one day, just remember I was sitting on my couch and I looked outside and I seen this person that looked like this person. Y'all remember? And
Remember.
I'm like, I hopped up and I'm like, I called Jess. I'm like, yo, he is outside my house. Like, I think he's working or something, but this nigga is here, And I cried so much because, so just for context, after everything came out with my situation years ago, I had never seen this person ever again. Like, we had no contact. I had a restraining order, all that stuff. And then maybe a couple of years after it came out, we ran into each other in McDonald's. But after that, I've never seen this person. So to be in therapy, addressing this trauma, and then to look outside my house and like, oh my God, like, here this person go. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? It just rehashed so much. And unfortunately, I feel like nobody understood my emotion. Nobody understood my pain at that point. I don't even think I understood why I felt everything I felt in that moment. And at that point, I was like, I'm not talking about nothing else, like, because he was also like lurking on my social media, got screenshots of that. So I'm just like, this nigga trying to kill me. Not really, because he ain't stupid, but you just never know, because you see so many situations where like people come back years later and they want, whatever the case is. And I was just like, I'm not about to be another statistic, you know what I'm saying? But thank God for good friends and just me having faith and a belief system in God. I was able to get through that moment and get through any other moment that I do have if it do come up. And I know y'all remember that.
That was crazy. That was so, like, the timing of that. Like, how?
But at the time when you found out he lived close to you, you was like, oh my God, he lives right up the street. And I was like, he does?
Yes. And the crazy thing about it is, this was around, me and Jess went on a rabbit hole. Like, we did some searching and different things. And then, I was just like, bro, what the fuck? So it is what it is. I rather know than not know, because I just know if I'm in certain areas, this is a potential person that you might run into. Thankfully, I have not run into that individual, but I just like to be cautious in a sense. And like Jess said, the timing of that was just insane. It was insane.
But sometimes those things happen. What seems like inconvenient timing is really a moment for you to be set onto a different path. Because look at the time that did happen in relation to now, because that really wasn't that long ago.
Right.
It wasn't. Yeah. And even when how do I want to preface this? Even when a certain TV show came out, I was excited. I was like, yeah, I'm about to watch this show and everything. And then I find out that person is on that top TV show. I called Jessica, like, yo, I heard these niggas on this show. I don't want to watch it. I'm on a boycott. I'm gonna email HBO. Email HBO. I think it was HBO and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. We're going to send anonymous, like, but then the thing was, I had to check myself. I'm like, I don't want to ruin nobody's life, right? Whether you done infringed a whole bunch of trauma and hurt on me, and I feel like fucked me up for a long time. My hands is off of it. God's going to do what he's going to do, however he's going to do it. But it is very sickening for me to sit dealing with what I deal with, the trauma, the therapy, and all the stuff, the struggle that I've gone through in my life, to then turn around and see you with your name and stars and shit, and fucking like it's sickening. And I'm like, yo, what type of screening do y'all do and background checks? Because like, do stuff with flag. Like, that's my whole problem with like, not even just Hollywood, just in general. Like, just do your research, do your background checks on everybody. Because you literally never know. Like, I literally had to go to the website and make sure a dude was still on there, because I'm like, how the fuck are you on my TV screen again? And the show that you're on, like, how did this happen? Right? Figured that out. But needless to say, seeing that, I'm just like, bro, am I ever gonna be able to live a normal life without seeing you, or having to relive something that you did to me?
Well, girl, you still living and you still standing. All right, let me get my last question out before we switch back to Jeanelle. So you have this platform, you have a voice. So in this moment, on your platform and in your voice, if it was anything you could say to this person, your abuser, what would it be?
If there was anything that I could say to this person, well, if you happen to come across this video, this podcast that has definitely been about you, I would like you to know that I forgive you. I forgive you for the anguish, the hurt, the trauma, the pain that you have caused me and my family for years. I forgive you because I know that, or I have a belief that something may have happened to you. I don't know, but I forgive you because I'm a better person because of everything that I've gone through. I'm a better person because I'm deciding to stand in my truth and not living your shadow of what you did to me. I'm a better person, and I hope that you are too. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I love that, Keita. To hear that from you now, progress. That was beautiful.
Oh, child, this wasn't planned.
That was beautiful. It was.
And the strength to be able to be empathetic on that level.
Yes.
Because, I mean, ultimately, we can't say what people do and don't deserve, in the sense that we're not the ones that's going to deal out that justice. But for you to be able to be empathetic, even though this person was not empathetic towards you, that is very powerful.
Very, very powerful.
And it's crazy because, like, literally, I've never been asked that, but I think I've thought about it before. Like, if I ever see this nigga on the street, I'm gonna bash his head in, I'm gonna do this. Like that. I could only imagine, and I probably wouldn't do any of that in the moment, but it's just so I can't help but think about everything that I have had to heal from and overcome, and just setbacks and just things that I've been through, and how I've faulted myself so much for all of these different obstacles and things. And none of it has been my fault. I take accountability in my healing. I take accountability in using my voice and, using my platform to continue to raise awareness. But I don't take accountability for anything that happened to me. I hope you take accountability, which I know you partially did during your trial, but I hope like the pain that you caused me. you know? And not only you, your family. Like, I really hope that y'all know what y'all caused me. And I'm not even speaking, and this, I don't even think this is my adult version of me speaking. I think this is my inner child speaking, because I was a child and all this came out. And I can remember, different things from that family and stuff like that. So I don't have any malice in my heart for that person, for that family. I don't. And I feel like, honestly, if I don't, nobody else should. Because, it's not going to get me anywhere, them anywhere, and it's not going to get him anywhere. One thing that my mom did say back then, and, even if I was to ask her now, she'll probably say it now. When I would see this person pop up like on social media or like the news from, the sports league that they was playing in for football and different, all these big accomplishments and things that was going on for this person. I'm like, how come God chose me to suffer and chose me to go through all of this stuff? And this person has had no suffering. They haven't had anything. They haven't had to heal from nothing. Nothing has been, everything seems to be going right. You're married, you have kids, everything is right. You're in your career. But me, I'm just like trying to get by. And one thing that my mom always said is like, you don't never know how God is dealing with a person behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
People can really dress things up to make it appear to be one thing, but then it may be, God may be turn that person up behind closed doors. But to the world, they're going to, look like they're this big, bad, actor, football player, or whatever the case is. But that's not really their life story. So I'm like, I always say, like, I hope that's true, but that's not me saying that I want to see you suffer, or I want something bad to happen. Have I said I want you to feel the wrath that I felt? Absolutely. I do, but I also know that I have no control over anything that happens to other people. And I've learned how to forgive people and learned how to forgive myself. So that's how I'm choosing to move with this person, situation, the family, all that.
Amen.
Well said, Keita. Well said. Take a deep breath.
All right. Okay. I think, you have more questions?
Yes, ma'am. All right. So back to moi. All right. What would you say to someone who has been sexually violated but afraid to tell someone?
I would first say that it's okay to be afraid. Like, you have to feel however you're feeling and know that your feelings are very valid. Okay. You may feel crazy. You may feel like it's your fault. You may feel like someone is after you. Like, I felt all of those things, right? But validate your feelings and know that, for starters, like, what happened to you is not your fault. It's not your fault at all. I don't want to hear, I shouldn't have been this place. I shouldn't have had this on. I should have pushed this person off. I should have did this. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not your fault. And I would say, like, don't think that you have to, go through those suffering moments alone, because there are so many people out here, so many resourceful people, so many programs, and people are just ready to embrace you, to just listen, to listen. When I came out with, when my situation happened, like I said, I was in middle school at the time when everything came out, and I went to therapy for a week. They looked at me. It was like, okay, she said she's fine. We're discharging her. My family agreed. I didn't see therapy again until I was an adult. There were no, and if it was, I didn't know of any, no organizations, like they have so many now, like Turnaround Inc. here in Baltimore, just a lot of different programs. There was none of that, and that stuff wasn't presented to us. And there's so much nuance, and there's so many programs like Me Too. Like, everyone knows about the whole Me Too program and different things. So there is a lot of help out here, and I understand that it's one of those things where you may not trust people. because it took a lot for me to have the courage to trust people, even my family. Like I didn't trust them. You know what I'm saying? I would just really, sit with what you're going what you're going through or feeling for how long you feel that you can tolerate it, and don't feel like you have to come straight out, you know, and say something, because those forceful moments are like the worst. Having people force you to talk about things when you're not ready. You choose the time and you choose the individuals, and then you just go from there. But do know that like healing is definitely possible. It is. Like I'm a walking testament of it. And there's so many other people out here, that are walking testaments of it themselves. So don't feel like you're alone.
Okay. And I know you mentioned about trust, Kita. Would you recommend that person who could be listening to this and want to get help? I know you said trust is an important factor. Would you recommend that person like find a counselor or a family first, or is there any particular order they should go about it, or just someone they trust?
Um, I would. I think it depends on the situation, right? Now, if you are a person that has dealt with something like that, and you haven't said anything and you want to say something, if you have a trusting family member that you feel like you can go to and they will believe you and support you, by all means, yes, I would go. Like, for example, like I have my aunt Kim, like y'all know, like I can go to her for whatever, and I'm not going to get asked a whole bunch of questions. If you have a family member you can go to, and that for sure that they're going to help support you, then by all means do that. Now, if you're a person that you want to seek different resources, like I said, there are so many different organizations out here and therapies that specialize in trauma-informed therapy and, sexual assault victims and stuff. If you want to try to seek them, you don't have to even do that alone. You can call certain hotlines and they'll put you in touch with someone to help you with that process, and that's not saying like, oh, you got to tell them every single thing initially. It'll get to that point, but at least find the right people or programs that's going to help, kind of hold your hand and guide you for how much guidance you may need. Because for some people, they may not need all that, because again, for more context, sexual assault can look very different for people. There are different forms of sexual assault. So just, everyone's is case by case scenario.
Thank you for that, Kita. All right, so my last question that someone submitted was, if you could tell your younger self something during that time, what would it
be? What would I tell my younger self during that time?
Going back to your inner child again.
I know. Let me see if she's gonna shine through. Well, and I thought, and how like you be like watching videos and they be like, what would you tell your younger self? Mm-hmm. One thing I wouldn't tell my younger self is you're safe, because I wasn't safe, right? I felt like I was only safe in certain environments, and unfortunately, that wasn't my home. I would tell my younger self that I'm loved, because I was loved. I was loved by a certain family. Well, I can't say certain, but I was loved by certain family members. I was loved by my family. So, and I would tell myself, and like, oh, this is so random. I'm envisioning my younger self right now in the bathroom with the door closed, bundled, like nestled up in a ball, because that is what I used to do, crying. Ain't that crazy? And I would just tell that younger Shakita that you're going to be okay. It might not seem like it right now, but this is not your fault, and you're going to be okay, and you are loved. And it's even saying out loud is so kind of like contradicting, because how would I have felt that I was loved in that situation? How would I have felt any of those things, But I was. It just wasn't, it didn't feel like it, But maybe if I had more of that poured into me, it would have did a ball of difference, you know?
Yeah. And from what I remember in college, like sport was like one of your outlets where you could just take like you be a little Tasmanian devil on the court, like out of nowhere. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
let's get Shakita the ball.
When I started playing ball, like it was a means of getting out of the house. Cause like my best friend Tiffany in middle school, she played ball first. And I used to play in elementary, but I wasn't playing like on an official team like that. So when I found out that they stay at the school, I'm like, I don't gotta go home. You know, I got on the team, and yeah, I was literally like the team Dennis Rodman in a sense. But the thing about it was that aggression was built up, and I just thought it was just me being a player and doing but they wasn't telling me to do half the stuff, you know. And then I found a likiness more for basketball, and I found a passion and a love. And Jeanelle, no, like we were teammates, and I would, man, you know, basketball probably saved me. It probably did. I don't remember being depressed, having anxiety, because that was my outlet. You know, if I wasn't on the court playing, I was like, Janelle had me in the weight room, putting these 2 heavy weights on the rack, trying to kill me. You know, but it at the time it made a world of a difference. Like it really did.
Yeah. And it was definitely like when I look back at it now, just seeing like the emotion that I didn't know either what was, you know, happening back then. But when I look back at it, it makes a lot of sense. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, girl. And like I know I think I recently have said this, like I don't know if it was on my podcast or another show, but like we have brought up like the whole nightmares thing. Like I have not had nightmares. Like I couldn't tell you the last time I've had like a nightmare or a night terror or anything like that. I really don't know, but like it's crazy how that and like even my insomnia all was like linked together because of that, you know. And I think honestly one thing that has really helped is just being in therapy and like really processing all of this. And Jess can testify to this, that the more I talked about this stuff in therapy, I would call Jess like, bro, I'm really a fucked up person. Like this stuff like really fucked me. Like she know, like I really, because like, and I was like, Jess, did the trauma really create all of these things? You know, it's an ugly cycle to go through with like the whole healing part of that. But I feel like, and it's definitely worth it because it makes everything come full circle. And it fills the voids of questions and different things and feelings I was feeling. And now I have like more clarity and I have answers. Partial. Stay tuned. We might get the rest of them, but but just moving forward, like I'm definitely not in the same space that I was last year or the year before last when all of this intense trauma treatment started.
Yeah. And then I never said this before, but I know this is not part of the question or anything, but knowing what I know now compared to back then, I wish that I was more like open with you to have those kind of conversations. But it's just like me being very cultural back in, you know, our country, some things are just like swept under the rug. And when it comes to like certain topics, it's like when it happens, it's like it happens. And then it's just like the next day, it's like normal. You know, I didn't do any follow-ups like in college. I was just like, okay, what was that about? It's like we went through it that night and it was kind of like a new day. You see what I'm saying? So I was just like, wow, I wish like back then I knew how to be more supportive to people when they were going through certain traumas. But I was also going through certain traumas and I didn't even know how to, you know, deal with certain things myself either. So it's just like, wow. But I'm so proud of you, Shakita. So
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
That means a lot. And honestly, I didn't even look at it like you wasn't, or you, Jazz, Abby, Tiffany, for that matter, anybody else. I never have felt like I was never supported enough, right? In the friendships, especially when it came to this, because like you said, you didn't talk about it or ask enough. Y'all know I didn't talk about it as much until now. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like people probably still don't know or still speculate different things. And that's okay. But at that particular time, like you got to think also, we were young, you know what I'm saying? At that time. And unfortunately, like when we left college, like it still was no healing. It wasn't no treatment. I ended up going to another school playing ball. And I just, turned 21 in a couple of years and I was just hit the streets, it was for the streets. But I feel like looking back at it now, that was my way of kind of coping as well, you know. So I'm grateful for the journey. That's what it's all about, because my journey has definitely went from that point to where it's at now. And I honestly wouldn't change anything about it. I wouldn't. So that was a lot. Not in a bad way, but a lot of those things I saw the questions and I'm like, okay, it's one thing to like write them down, but then it's like, oh, I gotta answer this. You know what I'm saying? So like whoever were the recipients of those questions, I appreciate y'all. I hope I answered your questions the best of my ability. Like I always say, my messages and email and all that stuff is always open. So if you have any more questions, again, stay tuned because this is a whole month. You might get them things answered. But yeah, thank you girls for this. So I have some questions for y'all.
Okay. Let's dive into it.
Tips T, before I get into that, Jess, you have anything to say?
No, I had a couple more questions for you.
Oh, I thought that was the last one.
Remember, I only did 3 thus far.
Oh, right. Go ahead.
We are not done yet. But some of the stuff you already touched on. So, one of the questions, somebody was kind of asking about therapy, but you actually kind of already touched on that. But they also wanted to know, what are some other things you do to cope on a daily basis? So what's helpful for you?
Meditation. Like I always jokingly say it, but I do mean it. Like people are getting a meditated version of me. Like, and y'all know, before I even started embarking on that whole spiritual side, I was a total rat. Like, so meditation has been very effective in working for me. Breathing exercises, they help. I'm on to this new found, it's called Yoga Nidra. It's primary breathing exercises. It's done more specifically closer to bed. So that helps me. I'm also doing like trauma releasing exercises. So I learned about like your chakra points and the fact that like different points of your body holds different like energy and trauma and things. So I am determined to like release everything, and it goes far above like just working out and doing regular stretches. Like there are actual hip reducing exercises you can do, and even stuff to release like the trauma out of your back and your shoulders and different stuff. So I do those. In the beginning, when I was saying like my therapist gave me homework, so I am doing EFT, emotional freedom tapping. Well, technique was tapping. So you tap on your like certain chakra point, well, not chakra points, but certain points, energy points. And it helps release, and these are like a group of things that I do, not every single day. I'm not like doing meditation, breathing, like all those things every day. I just have like it's kind of like when certain things come up, I know what to like do to cope, but therapy will always be my number one coping, because for me, it's been very effective this time around. And yes, I have been to numerous therapists in the past, I do believe that sometimes you have to shop around, you got to shop around for shoes, the wedding dress, prom dresses, clothes, the best lace fronts, the material, yes, the materialistic things. So why not shop around when it comes to things on bettering your health? Like, you shop around for the right primary care doctors or specialists. If you really want to be effective in your self-development, and therapy is something that, I've considered, but I just can't find a therapist, shop around for the right person, you know? And I don't mean somebody that's just going to sit there and enable you to continue the fuck shit that you may be doing, or just not, some therapists, they got their ways, but teach his own. But yes, you may have to shop around. So yeah, and work out. I think that's pretty much, and my diet. Like, I think diet is crucial. The saying, you are what you eat. I don't resonate with that much, but I do realize that when I eat really good, really healthy, my body feels good. When I eat like crap, I feel like crap. So taking the right supplements and vitamins also help too. So like, I do a lot of movement.
And trap cardio.
Oh, yes. Trap cardio. Yes, that is my love on YouTube. So yes, trap cardio is similar to Zumba, but it's more hip hop type. And I found them a couple years ago on YouTube, and they have been awesome. We actually went in person a couple years ago. So, and I talked to the trainers, well, I call them trainers of the class and all that stuff. So yeah, you just have to find really what works for you. Because some people will say meditation doesn't work because they can't quiet their mind. And I learned recently that it's not really supposed to quiet your mind all the way. It's just supposed to help you, get your calming. And some people like to be completely silent places and things. But if you can sit in a semi-chaotic place and start to meditate or just control your mind, like you have already done half the job, because some people can't even do that. For me, that was the thing. Like, I was here, there, and everywhere. So it's a lot of different things that I do, but it's a lot of different things, different resources that are out there that people can do. You just have to really want it.
No, definitely. And I guess an important point to say, and I think you've said it before, these exact words: healing is not one size fits all. So you have to make sure that you are, like you said, choosing things that work for you. And unfortunately, it can be trial and error, and it probably can feel sometimes like, I'm never going to figure it out. But like you said, for you, therapy may not have been successful at one point in time, but now it is. Sometimes you got to revisit something that didn't work in the past because you just maybe weren't in the space to really utilize it to the best of its ability, or you just go through different seasons of life where different things are more effective or more appropriate. So just got to put together your toolbox and use them accordingly. I used to tell the girls there at work that we used to work with that. And last but not least, once again, you already kind of touched on this, but like, bringing it full circle, you may have something else to add. Overall, how has your abuse experience impacted your life?
So yeah, I think hopefully I don't want to like repeat myself if I have, but what I'll say is it has impacted my life in a negative way, of course. And the positive is where I'm at now. And that's not saying that I'm 100% healed or over the situation, but I'm in a better space to appropriately process things because I got the appropriate help. And I spoke up about what happened to me, back then, I think it negatively impacted me because I was all over the place. I don't want to say I was broken, but the person that I thought I was back then, I thought that was me, like all the characteristics, the things that I liked, how I was doing things, what I was doing, activities I was engaging in. I thought those were things that I had to do. And now that I'm in a more clear and healed space, I know that a lot of the things that I was doing and engaging in was just a trauma response. The people that I felt like I had associated with was all based upon trauma. Not like I didn't like have bonds. We weren't bonded by trauma, but I was in a victim and people pleasing mindset. So like I would do anything to keep people in my space, even people that I knew was not supposed to be there. And for whatever reason, I would just let them diminish me and make me feel little, like, okay, you're right. Like, you're not, I'll leave you around. So I made some bad choices in the past. I made some, horrible choices. And I've reaped consequences because of those things. But I'm still here now to like stand on my own 2 feet, to speak out of my own mouth and take accountability for things that I've done and to correct those things, meaning moving forward, I know what not to do. I know how to handle myself in certain situations, but most importantly, like I have a voice to speak up for other people that have been through the same encounters or similar, or just the fact of holding space, a safe space for other victims, for other survivors, whether it was a sexual assault, a domestic violence, mental health struggle, whatever it is. I know how to hold space for people because I've lived it. Like I've literally lived it. And I don't allow those things to control my life no more. So yeah, it fucked me up. It really did. We would be here all day if I told y'all every single thing that I have done, or that happened to me, because I'm gonna be quite honest, like a lot of times when you hear of a person that was sexually violated as a child, 9 times out of 10, and I know statistics do back me, they were sexually violated again as an adult. You may not always hear their stories, but statistics do show that that is the case, and unfortunately for me, it was the case too. So it's just been a cycle of different, things of getting through. I was getting through the wrong way. I felt like it was the right way at the time, but now that I'm in the space that I'm in now, I know that I'm making better decisions. And I know that none of those things were my fault. That's the main thing, just like knowing that it was not your fault. And anything that you felt like you could have done in those moments to stop whatever was happening to you, to stop whoever was harming you, whatever the case may be, that does not put you at fault for what they did to you. And I think that is so crucial.
Well said.
All right. So those are the end of the questions that people had for you. So I think you're now about to turn the tables on us.
The tables turn. Yes. Okay. So my first question is, and either one of y'all can go first. Has my situation had a personal effect on y'all as my friends?
Like, who want to go first? Jess, you want to go first?
Okay. Not an effect as far as how I function. I'm one of those types of people who has really good boundaries as far as other people's emotions and situations. Whereas if it doesn't affect me to the sense where I start to take on maybe the feelings or the emotions of the person or situation. But of course, anytime somebody that you love, that you care for is going through a hard time, or, just something that you just feel like they didn't deserve, naturally you're affected, you know what I mean? So, anytime you will come to me with, anything that you were feeling at the moment, as things were happening that you didn't necessarily have control in, like him showing up and all that type of stuff, it impacted me in the sense that it's difficult not to be able to take away the thing that's hurting somebody that you care about. You know what I mean? So it's like you can be supportive, you can be there, whether physically, emotionally, or whatever way you choose to show up or can show up, but not being able to actually necessarily have the answer or necessarily be able to solve this situation. So I would say if I was impacted in any way, it would be, and Shakita, you know, I'm very solution oriented. You know what I mean? Like, okay, what's the problem? What we going to do? Or what are we going to try to do? So like what you're going through, since it's primarily, you know, like emotional, physiological, or that type of stuff, there are no easy answers. So not being able to have the answer for you, you know, that's how I'm impacted, because I want to help you make it okay.
That's the Virgo in you.
Indeed.
Mhm.
All right. So for me, do you want the old Jeanelle or the new Jeanelle? Just kidding.
Well, I think you gave the old Jeanelle.
I did a little bit. No, I don't think it made an impact on me. Like I mentioned earlier, just I wish I could have been more supportive at that younger age when you were going through your situation versus compared to now that we're older and we're learning what is trauma, and how to deal with it. What is healing? What does that look like? What does that look like for Shakita? And understanding the road and the journey that you're on, and just making sure that you do have that support now that we are much older, and making sure that you're okay and listening. Because I think most of the time you just want somebody to listen, and to help figure out what is the best solution for you. So I don't think that I was impacted at all. I felt your pain though, because I was very, very close for you. So I definitely did feel your pain. Like, I wish it never happened to you. I'm ready to, you know, hey, what we about to do, sis? He's where? Oh, I'm about to pull up. Just kidding. That's the old Janelle speaking. So yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I was impacted, but just being supportive, and feeling your pain and understanding what you're going through, and listening and giving you the best advice. Now that I'm at the best version of myself, I'm able to give you good advice or help or better support. So.
And I agree. I feel like y'all specifically have definitely impacted me in a positive way to from then and even now, like being able to understand, find some type of solution, even if the solution is not something that is going to happen like overnight, you know, just get down to like the bottom of like having a plan, I'm kind of like very plan and routine oriented. So I have to figure it out like right then and there, and just helping to alleviate some of the pressure. And Jeanelle said it like, I just want someone to listen. And like sometimes it gets kind of frustrating because I'm like, I don't want to keep talking about it or feel like I'm burdened and being a burden on other people. But what I've come to understand is like I don't have those type of people in my space, and I'm so grateful for that. Not having people that make you feel like a burden, not having people that make you feel like you're just hard to deal with because of these different things. Because let me be clear, like this situation and anything that I'm in therapy for, whatever, is not me. Meaning, like, if you know me in real life in person, this ain't something that we just be out in the streets talk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like some people like they make that their whole image,
Yeah.
and it's just a part of me. Like I'm very fun, spontaneous young lady, So there are so much more to me than that, and I have definitely learned that. It's been a learning thing. And one thing that y'all have helped me understand and realize is like I have good friends, but everyone is for something. You know, I know me and Jess knows how to really aim in on like friendships and the value of each person specifically. And so I've got to the point where like, if I want to discuss this with like Abby or Jasmine, if they give me pushback, that's okay, because maybe that's just not something they're comfortable with talking about. That's not the case, thankfully. But you know, if it was, I would be okay, you know, and understanding, because like this ain't easy shit to deal with for me. So it's not easy for someone else to talk about, especially again if you don't know what to say, what to do, you know. So, and one thing before I ask y'all the next question, one thing that I do know that like y'all know about me is like y'all took the time to like learn like my things that bother me, different signs. Like I know Jeanelle is famous for this. Like if I go MIA for not even 2.5 days, okay, maybe a day and a half, Jeanelle is on my phone. Don't let me not answer, because she's gonna leave me about a minute, 2-3 minute voicemail. Okay. Don't let me text, because sis is gonna be like, no, you need to call me. You know what I'm saying? Like Jess is the one that, okay, I'm gonna meet you where you are, but let me alert the crew just in case we need backup. Okay. We need to pull up, whatever the case is. So like everybody, you just know, you know?
Yeah, that is so true. Like, because we've been friends for so long, and I'm a firm believer, like energy and that frequency is so real. And it's just like whenever you're going through something, Kita, it's like I could feel it. I know. It's like you don't gotta open your mouth and say anything. It's just like when you finally do, and I'm just like, I already knew it. Like I'm a psychic. But I definitely could feel your energy. And I'm like, something's going on, or you know, something's wrong. Or sometimes I know when to back off. I do learn that with you and just give you that space. Because sometimes we just want to be left alone and just figure stuff out. So I learned to just, you know, give you a break, but not for too long. I'm like, hey, what's you all right over there? Okay, I just want to make sure, and then I'm good. Just let me know you're fine and I'm okay.
Yeah. And you know, I always say like the unfortunate thing is like, you know, everyone don't have a strong or solid friend circle, support system, but I'm grateful for mine, you know. Like I don't, you and yeah, I'm not gonna get in touch with that. But yeah, I don't have no problems over here, and I want to keep it that way. So like, yeah.
Say that again for the people in the back.
I want to keep it that way, okay? No new, I ain't gonna say no new friends. I'm not gonna say that, but I just, like I said, I just know like everybody ain't for everybody, you know.
What she said. Don't stop being shady.
You won't get me in trouble. You might get me in trouble. Say no. But okay. The next question. Damn, what is it? Okay, no. I think because I had 3 questions, but like the first 2 kind of tied in, because I asked if like my situation has affected y'all, but then I was going to ask like, has it been hard to like support me as a friend? But like, I think y'all kind of answered that, maybe.
Jess is like, let me answer.
No, it's some differences between those 2 questions. They definitely do. No, not difficult in the sense that, like, I know my capacity. You know what I mean? So I know what I can and can't handle. I'm the type of person who, for the most part, is always able to be somewhat available to anybody, no matter what the situation is. Because like I said, people's emotions don't necessarily impact me in a negative way. It doesn't mean that sometimes I'm not tired or just have stuff going on to where I'm like, I don't necessarily feel like dealing with something, but do I technically have the capacity? Yes, I do. Me and Shakita talk about this all the time about certain things are somewhat, I guess you can say, more on the gift level, you know, as far as different traits and characteristics you might have. So that's something I accepted about myself a long time ago. I'm just going to be that person that people come to. And that's in every area of my life, whether it's friend, family, loved one, significant other, stranger. People gravitate towards me as far as telling me stuff or asking for advice or just whatever it is. So I just have the capacity to do it. So in that sense, it's not difficult. What can be difficult is if I know you know something, but you're just not yet at that space to grasp it by the horns and take it for what it is and go full speed ahead with what it is we know you know.
No, oh man, sis. Please, she preaching to the choir over here.
It's like, but it's a journey, you know, and the whole point of your journey is that it's not always going to be a smooth, easy path. You know, you can see the end of the road, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be bumps and ditches and all types of obstacles that are getting in your way from, you know, achieving the end of the road. So point blank is you always get there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just, you know, we got to hammer it out a little bit.
Listen, I would ask for an example, but I'm afraid what y'all might say. So
yeah, no, we can do that offline.
I can like literally maybe think about one or two, but whatever. But yeah, and maybe y'all, we might be locked in brain wise thinking about the same. Look at Jess, yeah. I knew it. I knew it. So yeah, you know, I'm a better person. And again, that wasn't my fault. Like, okay. Whew, okay. And Jeanelle, I think, did you have anything to say about the support part?
The question was again, us supporting you.
Yes.
You got me off track. I'm sorry.
I'm like literally crying because I really think we miss y'all locked in at the same time.
Yes, you got me off track. What is the question? Okay.
Has it been hard to support me? I think that's what it was.
No, absolutely not. Everything Jess said is literally what I have to say about you. It's like I said, you're preaching to the choir. Like everything you said is all facts.
Okay, but like, yo, when it be clicking, and I be calling like, yo, this what it meant, or like, you know, sometimes, you know, it takes some time for things to process, or sometimes like we be knowing what we supposed to do, what we shouldn't do, whatever. But like, I think for me, it's been all about just like learning to really trust my intuition. Like, and like Jeanelle always say, Keita, you be knowing.
No, you do. Like, I know you for years. Like, whenever you say something and you feel it, you are 100% accurate. No doubt about it. So whenever Shakita says something, it's true.
I'm like literally crying. Okay, let's move on because like
I'm a catfish, okay? I'm so hungry.
Get off. Okay, the last.
I'm trying to control myself from saying one word. I'm just pissed.
What does it begin with?
I feel compelled to say this word. I ain't gonna say
Come on, say it.
Wait. What does it begin with?
Yeah.
A T.
A T.
Hold on.
A T. Sheba. Oh no.
What does it end with?
A T.
A T. TT. Girl, I'm thinking you about to say blunt, but it wasn't that. So I'm gonna sorry. I don't know.
Same association. Target.
Oh my God. Okay. So the last question. All right, wrapping this up. Okay.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, child. The last question is, what advice do y'all have for anyone out there, whether they're a friend, caretaker, relative, personal companion, whatever, that oh Jesus, you just knocked me off track. What advice do y'all have for someone that is trying to help someone like cope with like a sexual violation? What trauma at that state? Like, what advice do y'all have to give to somebody? And I'm not laughing at the advice part, but like, this has really took a turn.
It did. It got me way off track. Like I forgot the second question. But one advice I would say, you are not alone. Just remember that you are not alone, whatever you're going through. There's someone out there who went through something similar or the same that could definitely be a support system to you. And once you find that courage, and it takes time, as Shakita said, it took her some time to actually come out and say it, and just don't blame yourself when you do. Just know that you're not alone, and just find help when you can. Just try your best. And that's what I would have.
Oh, was the advice for the survivor or for the care, like the friend?
Oh Lord.
Well, you know what? She just gave advice for someone that's like the survivor, and that's it.
No, I just want to make sure
initially
thinking was like going to match. You know what I was.
It was initially for like the person that is helping the survivor, but I let her go because she gave good. You know, so if you're out there,
well, that's definitely
yes.
I would say if you're like the support person, as we are, the main number one thing I would say is just the listen. You know what I mean? Like, we have to first try to understand what the person is experiencing and where they're coming from, because we may not be able to relate to your situation, but the only way we can probably be of most assistance if we truly listen to understand. So that way we can support you in the way that you're actually asking to be supported, you know, not coming to an assumption or just, you know, saying, oh, you should do X, Y, Z. Nothing wrong with giving suggestions, but it should match what it is you're saying, you know, and what it is you're saying you need at the end of the day.
Most definitely. And some advice that I would give to someone that is supporting someone in that situation, because I've been on both ends of the fence, right? Is I would say just be patient with that person. Like sometimes the help needs help as well. Cause like I've said before, like me and Jess worked together at a psych hospital. We worked on my last unit was the child adolescent line. So we got a lot of girls and boys that came in with different type of traumas and stuff. But we also had the opportunity to like go on adult units and different things. And one of the main things it was to just be patient with those people, like really listen to what they were saying. Because sometimes people just want to have an outlet to talk to. But there's nothing wrong with, you know, if you're that person in that position to like seek help. You know, we had each other to talk to. We had social workers, we had nurses that worked on our shifts and units and other units as well. Sometimes we had to go to about things that the patients and people said to us. So it's nothing wrong with that, you know, and never feel like you're not doing enough, because your presence alone is probably doing more than that person needs at that particular time, you know. And sometimes people do it unconsciously, but I will also say, like, don't make someone else's downfall or situation about yourself. Like, do not center yourself, excuse me, in someone else's trauma, because that takes away from the victim, the survivor. It takes away from them. It takes away from their healing, their experience, their voice. It takes away from them to put the focus on you, because now they have to try to figure out if you're okay, and it's going to take away from them even talking about their experience and things that have gone on. So like I said, some people don't do it on purpose, you know, but it does happen quite too often. And I think I've given a lot of, you know, advice for, you know, any other victims or survivors out there that is listening in that case, but I'm gonna just piggyback and just always say, like, it's not, and it's never your fault. It isn't. And I know the internet, good old social media has a horrible way of victim shaming, and even if your case may look like mine somewhat and go to trial, you will have people, or may have had people that have told you, like, this was your fault and you like this and this and the third. Like, do not fall into that false pretense of those things that people are trying to place on you. So yeah, and just always and never feel ashamed to stand in your truth and to speak your truth. Because even if it doesn't feel good to you, I guarantee you that you're helping someone. Even if they're not coming forward saying it, like, your voice alone is someone's strength. That may sound weird, but someone told me that, and it makes so much more sense in my mind. Like, some people don't have the strength to uphold themselves, so they listen and they feed onto other people's voices and messages to lift them up. So your story may be devastating, but you speaking it may be enough for another person to get up and move forward. So yeah. You girls have any last words?
Yeah, as I always say, I've probably said it multiple times in multiple episodes, just make sure at the end of the day, you're always giving yourself grace. You deserve it. Give yourself love, give yourself patience, give yourself time. So that's about it.
Jeanelle, any last words?
Just know that you are loved and you are worthy, and pain don't last always. So whatever you're going through, that cloud that's hovering over you, the sun is coming. So stay strong. Stay strong.
I like that. And she's right. Pain don't always last. It's only temporary, and you control your healing, and it may be time for you to take things into your own hands. Again, that's not rushing anybody to seek help, but you just getting up another day, getting out the bed, is you taking things into your hands. That's how I like to look at them. So yeah.
And you just never know how, last thing, sorry, you just never know how your pain could turn out to be your purpose in life. So we always question, like Shakita said earlier, Lord, why is this happening to me? Why? And look at her now. So I just wanted to leave that there.
Making all the right choices now. But yes, this conversation felt like a breath of fresh air. And I know it's longer than my normal ones, but this month in general is different for me. All my episodes and conversations I've had with people in the past have been very intentional. And nothing has been rushed. So I wasn't going to do this one any different, or any other episodes that followed this one any different, because again, like, this is about raising awareness. So you will not only hear from me, of course, this month, but like I said, some other questions you may be thinking after hearing, like, what? She told her family and nobody did nothing? Those questions may be answered sooner than you know. So stay tuned. Yeah. And if you're somebody that has a story, you want to talk, you turned your pain into your purpose, or whatever the case was, hit me up. My DMs are always open, or you can email me at chroniclesofvirgo22@gmail.com. Let's chat. Okay. So again, I thank you, beautiful ladies, for joining me for this conversation, through the tears, the laughter, the
Journey, life.
Yes. I thank y'all for everything. Like, and I know y'all have heard me say before, like, if I could repay you with my life, I would. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, I truly do. Because I know, like, we all are on our own journeys, and we all have things that happen on a daily basis, but like, y'all have never let me down, and y'all have always been there through thick and thin, so I really appreciate that. And again, like, this is in no like saying that my other friends have not done the same, but like y'all two specifically in regards to all of this play a way different part, you know? So, and I'm appreciated for that. And I'm glad that God has equipped y'all with enough strength and stamina to deal with a person like me, you know, and just have, I don't know. I'm speechless, honestly, and I never get that way talking about people, but with y'all, it hit a lot different. So I'm not trying to get choked up and cry, but I hope y'all feel my heart and everything that I'm saying, because I really do mean it.
We love you, girl.
I love y'all too. Yes, so we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys that has tuned in for this episode. My apologies that it ran a little longer, but I really hope that it resonated with someone or someone learned something out of this. Yeah, because that was the whole point of it, to just raise awareness and for me to continue to stand in my power and for me to continue to speak. This is not it, you know, I'm gonna continue to speak. So please stay tuned if you stay tuned this far. And follow me on social media if you're not following me on TikTok. Hopefully TikTok is still up and functioning by now. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Chronicles of a Virgo Podcast on all those platforms. Come tap in with your girl on YouTube to see our bright, beautiful faces. Okay. And like I said, if anybody has any questions or want to connect or anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right. And continue to take care of yourself, but most importantly, take care of each other. And we are out.
Bye.